All right, we're live. Welcome back, everyone. It's going to be a good stream today. A lot of interesting stuff. Actually, a lot of interesting stuff has released for Paizo, and a lot of interesting topics have been coming up on Twitter and other tabletop centered forums.
You're gonna have to tell me about some of this. I am weirdly out of the loop on like tabletop Twitter. I see it occasionally, like not often.
Like almost all my Twitter is tabletop, almost to an annoying point. A lot of it, no cap, is just a bunch of content creators on Twitter, following each other and like, kind of just trying to put this politely. It's just a bunch of content creators looking to get more followers. And oftentimes those followers are other content creators who are looking for clout as well.
Good old-fashioned YouTube networking.
Yeah, pretty much. For some people, it works out.
Yeah.
Pretty big. I don't partake too much. I like to do my stuff more organically. And as best as I can, I like to not, beg for follows and such like that. As best as I can in this market where that's equivalently how you become successful, is just telling enough people to follow you.
It works.
It does. We were just talking about this actually off stream moments ago. It's just literally whenever I ask in a video for likes or subscribes, the video generates more likes and subscribes than normal. It's unfortunate because I like to just be like, hey, if you like this, you know what to do. But no, you kind of gotta lay it on a little thicker than that.
Yeah, no, there's a method to the madness.
And the crazy thing about it, right, is views are what's important, but the algorithm only takes views as a partial connector of like how it sets you up. Interactions and sub count mean way more to the algorithm than just view counts do.
True.
It's nutty. It's nutty because I see a lot of channels that have less than 10,000 subscribers that have videos with 20,000 views. And some with 20,000 views like within a month or so, So it's like you can get a lot of views, but then you look at their other content and it's, much lower. Granted, for the channels that do get about 20k views, they often average at least like a few thousand for their other videos. But still, it's crazy. It's crazy how much just those little interactions really make the difference. And, you gotta play the game. It's not like tabletop. You can't just play the way you want to play, You gotta play by their rules, and you have to min-max, or you're going to fail.
Exactly. There are very few creators I've seen that actually are able to skirt around it through pure quality, but it's like a fucking rarity.
Well, most of them, it's not even, quality. It's legitimately they make a viral video and then they roll with it. A lot of the times is what I've seen.
The one that I'm thinking of, which I still posit, one of the best newish YouTubers out there, by a guy called Soup Emporium. Watch his shit if you haven't. Man doesn't play that game. He just makes absolutely amazing video essays and then kind of just leaves it at that. I respect that. I wish more people could do that in the YouTube field, but it's just not how it be.
Yeah, well, I mean, and to be fair, you can't get good at YouTube or making videos unless you do it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So, my videos are still just always getting slightly better every time something else happens. I've tried saying less, and I pause more in the video, but I can cut that out, and it's really easy to see a blank pause over an Granted, I recognize the waveform of now.
Yeah,
I've done it enough where I can see the waveform and I'm like, that's an I bet 100%. It
Oh yeah, I have when I have edited some stuff for you, I'm like, I know that waveform. I know what that is.
Yep. So, not saying anything when I'm pausing to think is a lot easier to cut out. It makes the videos a little bit more choppy sometimes.
It's YouTube. Jump cuts are acceptable on YouTube. Luckily.
Yeah, honestly. It's one of those weird things where it's like an editing faux pas where normally you don't want jump cuts like that
Not
at all.
the slightest.
But in YouTube, it's just expected. Mostly because YouTubers are lazy and they don't like doing second takes.
Yep.
So, you know. I wish I could do stuff like Mr. Rex does, though, because Mr. Rex is easy. He reads from a script. I know 100% he reads a script, but he also has a canter that he's talking about certain things, and when he gets to an end of the point, there's always like a brief like second pause. I know for a fact he uses that to for takes and stuff like that, but because his video isn't face cam, it's all just like panning shots of images, he can get away with it.
Easier to edit audio than footage.
Yep.
Literally had a conversation about this an hour ago with my professor talking about our short film.
So it's
fun stuff.
Yeah, I can't wait for your film.
It's gonna be cool.
I'm excited.
I'm real excited.
But yeah, and I mean like all the time, you know, I it's just about learning what thumbnails work. What kind of clickbaity titles do you want to use? Even things like table talk, I learn about all the time. Like what topics do get people like flocking to the channel. It's really unfortunate that our table talk is so short because I guarantee we could have a pretty decent viewer size for a longer period of time if we added like an extra hour. But I don't want to add an extra hour to table talk.
I view this as I do with I am a podcast enjoyer. I listen to a lot of podcasts, like my brother, me, last podcast on the left, like The Yard, stuff like that. I like the fact that it's like hour and a half, sometimes 2. I think going past 2 hours is a bit like, I don't think it works as good. Though I can see what you mean. I feel like we could definitely get a larger audience, but also a lot of people do just head out in our chat, like sign off around like our end time anyways.
Sometimes, yeah, I don't know. We're always popping. Like right now, whenever we start, usually it's between 1 and 5 viewers, and oftentimes it's like an average of 2.
That's why streamers, when they start their stream, they have like a 20-minute segment where they're like waiting for people to join. And it's like, hey, what's up, chat? How's it going?
Yeah.
It's just waiting for that those regulars to stop by.
But whenever we end, we're usually near like 10. So it's like, yo, Gray, what's up? It's one of those things where just like, how's it going? I'm Alex.
Well, but I'm here. What?
I'm here. What? Existential dread
piloting
sets
this
in.
Twitch chat.
Apologize. Eating milk done. Takes a second. Don't want to eat my chips. I'm very hungry. I've really not done much today besides work on stuff.
It's fair. I'm literally eating like lunch/dinner like right now. I'm usually eating when we start table talk.
Yeah, I wish I could, but my face is on the screen.
How does it feel, Mr. YouTuber man?
I know, right? But yeah, it's just one of those things where like today was a really busy day. I had to do a lot of household chores. Also, like the schedules are changing around in the household, and I'm stationed in the living room, and I really don't have any room to like properly do this in. So for all my stuff, I try to do it when either no one's home or everyone's like asleep. Preferably when no one's home, because I'm loud. But, you know.
Fair.
Devin getting his schedule changed has been rather inconvenient because now he doesn't work on Friday, which was my big, like, this is my long video day. And I don't really have a good day to substitute it with at the moment. So I've been scrambling to figure out what I'm gonna do. Actually, my longer video this week, or the one I'm gonna put more effort into, I think I want to do how I build characters. I think this is gonna be an interesting video. I think people want to see that. Maybe, who knows? I have videos that still have less than 100 views on the channel, so not all my ideas are great.
Yeah, that's about normal. Soon you'll be saying that for like thousands of views.
I know, it's like, yeah, this video only got like under 10K. It's one of those things that it's nuts because we're getting there. It's happening, like, especially with the increase in video load I'm doing for the week. It has dramatically improved the performance of the channel, you know, which you figure, duh, it would, but it's just one of those things that it's the unfortunate truth is you got to output content so the algorithm keeps you in its favor.
True. Yeah, gotta keep the algorithm happy. It's your god.
Anyway, we should have spent like 10 minutes, 12 minutes talking about the talking about the algorithm. When you do YouTube, it's literally all you think about.
True.
It's the only thing.
Like the biggest thing. But yes, the clickbait title we have.
The clickbait title. You know what? It's actually not as clickbaity as it might seem, though. I think everyone should play one evil character. Well, I don't think everyone should play evil characters. I think striving to play a well-done evil character should be an aspiration for most players, though.
It's something I want to do at some point. Because most I've played is morally dubious characters. I think the only character I can say was like evil, or even close to it, was Sebastian. But again, it was more of like he was just callous and didn't care. He had a lack of empathy and not any malicious intent. So obviously, your interpretation of evil is subjective. I had a character that turned evil when a campaign ended. But like that was an Adventure League character. Like that was part of like the joke.
It's just one of those things, right? It's like I've played one evil character pretty successfully through. It's the balance is not playing a character who's too much of a dick to tolerate, but playing a character who's still justifiably evil. Because you can have those characters who are like, oh yeah, I'm totally evil, and then they never do an evil thing, and they oftentimes do several good things over the course of a campaign.
Yeah.
But they're like, I don't care about this, I'm only doing it for y'all's sake. And it's like, that's how you should play, but you still need to be able to justify your characters actually being evil. When I was playing as Nika, it's like, he did a lot of good things to help the party. But, you know, when we went into his magnificent mansion and y'all saw, like, the visages of people from, you know, the academy he went to, and just being, like, slaves and being almost in, like, just very bad situations, shows that he's genuinely a fucked up individual.
Horrible fucking person. And like I think like when we were in the anima game for like Sebastian, like the most evil things he did, if memory serves, I never did anything like horrible, but he'd do a thing where he's like, hey, we could take this course of action. The party's like, what the fuck? No.
Yeah.
Like the time like early on the first mission, he's like, hey, by the way, we could just dip.
Right.
Like there is nothing stopping us from helping these people. Like why would we waste our time? Or he would just be like, someone would say, oh, we should do this thing. And Sebastian's like, why? What do we gain from that? And then they're like, we're being good. And like, come on, Sebastian, let's do it. And he's like, all right, I need to stick with these people. So yeah, sure.
Right. And I think that's just a good example of like having a character with potential to be evil and never actually doing it.
Oh yeah, if Sebastian was surrounded by an evil party, he would have been a fucking villain. Like
Yeah.
that's something we talked about too. Vale and I was a
Oh, he cut out.
oh, sorry. Imagine Astrid and Sebastian on the same team, like working together. Imagine that fucking power team.
Yeah. I mean,
But-
somewhat. Astrid is also a very lawful good character.
Oh yeah, like they're very lawful good, but like it's the thing of both of them are incredibly powerful in one respect and working off each other to be great. So and imagine that for like most other characters. I feel like if it was an evil campaign or Sebastian, like same situation because he only followed the party because they beat him or
Right.
showed that they were more powerful than him. So he wanted to follow them until he could beat them in a fight and then leave. That was his plan. That never happened. I knew that would never happen. That's one of the ways I've talked about this before. It's one of the ways I justified having a character who, like, in all respect purposes, playing the character. There's no reason for him to follow the party around, but I made that reason. So I don't like playing the character that doesn't want to be there. I find it really annoying. But like, if say, oh, I found a bunch of just morally dubious people, Sebastian would be like, okay, yeah, these course of actions make sense, and to hang out with them further, he would have been more of a piece of shit.
Yeah. It's just kind of one of those things. And to be fair, your intent wasn't to play him as an evil character.
No.
You
he
were just
was
playing him as a very blank slate.
flawed. Yeah, he's very flawed. Was the thing too.
Flawed was his
yeah.
his identifying factor, I guess. But like he was just very neutral, and almost in a very slighty way. Like it could have gone lawful neutral, but like it could have slid either way pretty easily.
I mean, yeah, he just had like. I mean, actually, I just remember one of the more evil things he did. It was fucking. It's Olin and Golan, right? Or I'm saying that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, you're
Okay.
right.
Which one's the Olin was the one we met first, right?
Nope, Golan was the one you met
Okay.
first.
I remember the part where we're climbing up the mountain, and like two of us have a way to get up there easily, and Sebastian is very pointedly like they're up there with Finwith, and it's like looking down on which one's to save, and like Sebastian's only paying attention to Olin because Olin's existence invalidates their need for Golan. He's expendable because Golan exists was his mentality.
Right.
So he's like, if he falls, I'm gonna let him fall because I'll rather waste my time. I'd rather spend my time helping someone useful. Because the moment he was like, yeah, this is my older brother. He's stronger than me. He was like, okay, cool. I can ignore your existence now.
Yep.
That's
Yeah,
the kind of shit Sebastian wants.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? But that's like still not evil.
No, not in the
Really.
slightest. He's just callous and
Yeah.
like neutral.
It's kind of like the Hell Knight, like lawful neutral. Like they literally don't care. They don't care if you had a very justifiable reason you're getting put in the stockade.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter. They would rather your family starve than to suffer you stealing from someone.
Exactly.
And that's it's so lawful neutral to the point of seeming evil. And it makes sense when you look at the bigger picture, but humanity is not great at bigger picture things. I think we've proven that over the
No.
centuries.
Yeah, not really.
So, like the character I played, Nikos, like was intended to be an evil character, and he was an asshole at first, and there was a lot of times where when he wasn't in the face of the party, he was rude, he was uncaring, and honestly, he would go to he would just go to infinite lengths to do what he needed to do, oftentimes at the expense of others. I mean, he even signed a pact with a demon just to get more power. And then
True.
upon getting that, he's like, all right, now how do I get out of this? And in order to keep that demon's power, he committed atrocities.
Yeah, he did some awful shit.
He did some really terrible shit, and he was okay with it, or sometimes slightly happy to, especially when it came to like some, like whenever we were dealing with like the drow, he was like, oh god, they're such pompous assholes, I would love to fuck them over as much as possible. It does me no, it brings me joy to do this. And he would even go above and beyond. He's just like, hey, extra brownie points. Or, I'm curious if this will work, so I'm just gonna go above and beyond anyway, just to see, you know?
Yeah, man, I remember those fucking, like, bits, I was like, ooh, if Rogel was here. Rogel was in the room.
It's one of those things, right? But that was, again, like, that I would view as a very successfully evil character.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And Nikos was a blast, but he was not intolerable in any sense. In fact, he got more tolerable as the game went on, and not just from acclamation. Like, he genuinely understood these people are meaningful, and my relationship with them benefits me. So it behooves me to be on their good side as much as possible. I mean, I would even say he would care about his teammates too. Not much, King Neo. Honestly, we talked about algorithm stuff for like the first 12 minutes, and then these last 10 minutes we've just been talking about evil characters or evil adjacent characters we've had so far.
Just our track record with the subject.
But that's the thing too, right? Is evil characters doesn't mean they don't have people they care about or are willing to go to, you know, like even altruistic lengths for. Like, an evil person is like, okay, let's talk about Hitler, right? He truly believed the world would be a better place under his vision. Like, it's actually super fascinating looking into the man and just seeing all this. Like, he was actually a really kooky dude.
He was a fucking weirdo.
He was a real big weirdo. He did all kinds of really bizarre. One of the fact that he was so bizarre made him really hard to assassinate.
I can see that.
It's just so many people, like, there's so many assassination attempts that were about to take place, and then he would do something completely random out of his schedule. Yeah, and it happened all the time. And I mean, there's even a sect of you know, the Nazis that were looking into like the occult stuff.
Yeah, there's a good chunk of that because Hitler was a big fan, and I know I think he got trained by somebody at some point, but like, nah, it's a fucking bizarre history of like the Nazis and the occult.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. That's the thing. He legitimately thought it would make the world a better place. I'm sure he also had a lot of self-interest and wanted to put himself in a position of high power in this new world order. But he also genuinely thought it was better for the people. And, you know, that's kind of one of the big things about being evil. You can have altruistic drive as an evil individual, but it's always something like, it's always at a cost that just shouldn't exist, you know?
Yeah.
And like, that's why in like countless media, you have villain turned friend happen all the time. Because really, like, when you look at some like animes, cartoons, all kinds of media, and where the villain a villain becomes an ally with the group, those people did some really fucked up stuff a lot of the time, killed a lot of people, and honestly did not deserve the happy outcomes that they got. Like,
yeah, there's like a few. I mean, there's like one character I can think of that did deserve their like redemption, and that was like it's just Zuko. He deserved it.
I don't know.
Like that was a good, well done like here like enemy to friend story arc.
See, now I don't know. I don't know what evil firebender acts he did really before finding Aang.
I mean, he did the firebender shit. He was not like there because he was a child, but like he did some pretty bad stuff. He was only kept in line because of Iroh was like next to him the whole time, subtly guiding him away from the evil shit. But like that's a really good example. Though I'm curious with this idea too, like, because when I'm thinking of this subject, because like I've never played an evil character, but I'd like to. It's just the idea of like what type of villain would you play if you were doing an evil campaign?
See, and that's also, I think, well, if you were playing a villain, that's an interesting question, but you don't have to be a villain to be evil.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's address that topic though. I think that's interesting. What kind of villain would you be in a game? I think that's a fun question.
Yeah, because the question is making me think of like how like what villains do I love and want to like represent the style of. And to be fair, like I like a lot of characters, I like a lot of villains. Like in thinking about the subject, I feel like my favorite characters are a lot of times protagonists or like side characters. But like a lot of the villains I love, I have two character types that I fucking love. It's evil for evil's sake. Despite how like lazy a lot of times it is, I think it's fun. Like, it is an enjoyable watch to watch just an absolute piece of shit, and they're like, no, redemption. He's like, what the fuck are you talking about? No. I like this. Or person who has a goal that they are uncompromising in getting to. I do like that one a lot too.
I love the Crossroad Demon style. Dr. Facilier from The Princess and the Frog, the Voodoo Man, is my total favorite kind of villain. I like villains that are there to be, they don't do anything, but they allow the protagonist to be evil. Those are great moments because they are not only interesting narratively, but it's more interesting when they actually succeed than I think when they fail. I have a character that's a recurring villain in a lot of my games who does the same kind of thing. And it only works on like anyone who's not considered the protagonist of the game. It works on pretty much everyone else but the main protagonist character for some reason every time. But that's super fascinating.
It didn't help that the one time I met him, he was just really mean to my character for some reason. He was a fucking asshole to my guy. He probably would have listened if he just like gave a good pitch, but no, he was just mean. He was like, I don't know. But yeah, it's a strange approach.
He could not see you for anything other than what you were meant to be.
Yeah.
It was interesting. But I like those villains. I like the Crossroad Demon style villains. I also like the mastermind, like villain mafia boss characters who are really, really evil. The guy from Arcane.
Oh yeah, Silco.
Silco is also one of the kind of villains. It's like a character who is just charismatic in many ways. He never gets his hands directly dirty, but he has people like those are the kind of two villains I really, really like. I like the very hands-offy kind of villains, I guess, just because I find the manipulation and the mind games interesting.
Totally. Meanwhile, I love myself a villain that is just so fucking down to get his hands dirty. Like, honestly, if I had to like roll up a villain and like play one, I might do something like my second really favorite character type, the has a goal with uncompromising morals to get to the goal. someone like Virgil or Senator Armstrong, where it's like, I have a goal that I want to achieve. I will do anything like in my power to achieve it. And also, both villains are fucking so much fun. I love both of them like to death.
And you know what's funny is the villain that'll go at to no ends, or God, why can I not say this line properly? The villain that will go to any lengths to do his job has an admirable trait. Has a trait that people actually like, which is ambition and passion.
Yeah.
Those are things that we see, and it doesn't matter if they're good or bad. People like and gravitate towards those kinds of people. That's what makes them so interesting.
It's like, I mean, even then, like a lot of times those characters, the thing that's really interesting from it is the discussion of then people being like, oh, you know what? They're correct though. They have a point. And a lot of times, like, no, dude, Griffith didn't have a point. Senator Armstrong is wrong.
Well, it's like
thing, but it promotes that discussion, which is good. A villain should promote like just talk and like thought like that.
Well, I think what it is they evoke the idea that there is a fine line between what you must do to keep yours and yours safe and what you could do. It's like if someone was coming up and threatened to kill your whole family, would you murder them? Most people would say yes, of course. Why wouldn't I? You know, they're threatening my family. They're obviously not a good person. And then that same person's like, all right, well, what if you could eliminate everyone who possibly could? And then the line gets a little blurry because it's like, you know it's wrong, but you see that glimmer of like the logic behind it. And that's, I think, what the true talk of morality is about, you know, is It's not black and white. It's always situational. It's also explored in a lot of media when it comes to like what's, you know, it's the trolley question, right? A trolley's heading down the track, a person is tied to the track, or like three people are tied to the track, but you're next to a switch, and if you pull the switch, it'll switch to a different track, but there's one person down that track. Do you pull the switch or don't you? Those questions, it's the same kind of idea. Is, you know, there are necessary evils in life sometimes.
I find that interesting too, because I actually wrote a villain that that was like his story. Was first story I was working on like years ago. The character saw a prophecy that showed like the person who would kill them, and their whole biggest flaw is that they're terrified of their own mortality. So they, you know, kill the entire family of the protagonist, like not knowing they're there, and causing the events that would lead to that protagonist killing them. But the whole idea of like seeing that option, seeing, oh yeah, but you could kill them before they get you, and he's like immediately, yes, I will.
Right.
And like, yeah, like, and his reason for like evil, like villainy, is the sense of like self-protection. Like essentially it's self-defense, like preemptive. But he's still a horrible fucking human being and did an evil act, but like in his head he's completely justified.
It's always super fascinating. I always really enjoy these kind of concepts, and I think these are the kind of concepts that go over players' heads when it comes to playing characters in tabletop, right? Like, because you're not playing the villain, you're not playing the one of the centered characters on the narrative, so it's hard to feel like playing that kind of character becomes valid. How can you be a crossroad demon, right, if you don't have the power to make people's wishes come true?
Yeah.
And but you can do it in different ways. Nikos was, I think, one of those characters, being a wizard, you know, in D&D especially. They're very, very powerful, especially at endgame.
They're capable of a lot of horse shit.
He literally brought back to life, in quotations, a character who was essentially unrevivable. It was a weird roundabout way, but, you know, like, it was essentially a miracle. And he did it. And that's just the thing. It's just like, he has that power, and even in his mind, even if he did something terrible, he knows at least his friends wouldn't betray him.
Nope.
Because they've seen the good in him, and he could always just be like, I'll change, I promise, you know, and they would probably believe him, you know?
Yep, unless Rogel saw you do something actually fucking, like, inexcusable, he wouldn't. He'd probably, like, allow you to do your thing, but then it's like, oh, I'm sorry, Rogel, I summoned a hell portal, and now this entire region's gonna get killed by demons. That'd be like, okay, I'm smiting you, like, right now. Like, you are actually, like, a problem.
Actually, King Neo brings up a really good, interesting idea. The Alexander-style, like, conqueror who you forcibly go and take land from people. You mercilessly slaughter the men that jump to defend their territories. But when you conquer them, you then free the slaves, increase the overall quality of life in the places you conquer. And it's one of those things of, like, true kings always tread the paths littered with the corpses of their foes, you know? Like, there's so many interesting ideas when it comes to that, even that idea. Just the conqueror who, he's here, he will make it better. Compliance is not a question.
Yeah, it's always, like, a really interesting thing. And then a lot of the times, like, those stories, it's that really interesting moral thing of, like, are they right? Most of the time, it shows that they're not. Because, like, maybe the people who are actually being put in power aren't good. There might be good intentions from the top, but how does that intention trickle down to the people below him? Because, you know, it's also the subject that leads to it of the themes of absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny though, a lot of those stories, that's not, I mean, that's sometimes the case, but sometimes not. Like, I've seen the story where the dude at the top never had any intention of, like, actually abusing their power, but once they got there, they found they had no way of maintaining everything that they founded, you know? And sometimes they kill themselves, realizing that they've only replaced evil. They did not overcome it. And everything they did was like a sham.
There's only one character I can think of that doesn't fulfill that, and that's granted, he's not the villain. I feel like he could be a villain in another story. The patrician character from Discworld.
I don't know that one too much, sorry.
So his entire character is that he's straight up the manipulator king character. Mm-hmm. I think you would fucking love him, honestly.
Probably.
He is, every time I'm reading a scene with him, I'm like, oh, Cam would love this man. He is, like, the most intelligent person in the city. He has, like, 20 contingency plans for any situation. Where he's just, like, there's a scene where he gets deposed, and he's just fucking big chilling, because he's, like, 5 ways to get out of the prison that he was because they put him in his own prison. He's like, I know exactly how to leave. But, like, for example, there's a quote I really like of the patrician's government style is one man, one vote, but the one man dance. But he's a good guy. He has, the city he made is like functioning for the crime-ridden hellhole it is. He has it working, and it's just don't mess with his system, and he won't come after you. It's an interesting, like, villain type that's not a villain. Because he does some good acts, and he works on the side of the protagonist. But, you know, he's also, like, a totalitarian dictator.
Right, yeah. Yeah, and again, there's so many different characters. There's so many different character types that I think players could attend to that could classify as being an evil character, you know. In the end, compliance is important. And it's always fun to have one of those you know, rompy, like, let's just be dickheads and be the evilest group of people we can imagine.
Yeah, playing through like an evil playthrough of a video game you like.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting, because like those aren't like, because normally like the evil like playthroughs aren't common. Because like for example, there's a big talk on this like a year ago when BioWare released the stats for decisions in Mass Effect, where it's like most people play through. There are people who are complaining all the time, like, we want evil options in our games, we want like these decisions, I want to be a dickhead. But then like you look at the things, and like a vast majority of players always go with the good option. Where it's like people, when they play through Mass Effect, play as a good guy like first. And then you go back and you're like, now I'm going to be the villain. Now I'm going to be a piece of shit to everyone who crosses my path.
Undertale had that pretty big narrative point, honestly. Which was even further stamped out because if you did the genocide route, you know, at the end, if you do another good route after that, you kill all the people because it's like you were evil once, and doing good doesn't erase that, you know.
Yeah,
it was a very big point of it. And there's so many things that are very interesting, but let's talk actual character builds or character ideas that could function well in a party, you think?
If I'll be tackling this idea from like what I would do in the situation, because like I think I know how I would do it. I think I would play a character like Virgil or someone like Senator Armstrong or something, where it's like they have their goal, they want to do it, they will do whatever they can to do it. The problem that I face with like this concept is like, if put in a good party, they will probably work with the party and be good. Like, the most evil I think I could play and thoroughly enjoy without being a total evil campaign is like playing Sebastian, where he is capable of horrible things if led in that direction. If given the go-ahead, he will do fucking whatever. But if reined in by the party, he will work in a party format, because that's just my playstyle.
Welcome, Devin. Yeah, that's not really an evil character, though. That's just a character capable of great evil.
That's the thing. Like, I don't see myself playing, like, the future Dark Lord of the land, aspiring lich who wants to conquer... I don't see that. I don't see myself doing that, because that's not my style. Because, like, I'm a big fan of broken protagonists. I think the meme that Slug sent to our Discord once, the Venn diagram of my life was ruined, hilarious or depressing, that's my shit. Every single character on that list are characters like I absolutely love. That's my type. I like playing characters that are very broken individuals that have to find a way to function in the world again. That's my thing. And I don't think I could play a villain, or I could, but I don't think I'd like it as much.
That's fair. I mean, I think you kind of hit one of the points of where a lot of players get hung up when it comes to evil characters. The good and the bad players who play evil characters, a lot of times the bad ones, are playing like megalomaniac, you know, characters going through their rise to power, right? And that doesn't necessarily make... Not all evil characters want to rule the world. Not all evil characters. There's so many evil people out there that you know, have no desire to be at the top. They'll take it if it's like handed to them, but they don't have that kind of drive. Like a good example would be like you have like a rogue in your party, and you're helping like this duke find his daughter or whatever, and you go through the castle looking for clues, and the rogue is sitting there, and he's like getting buddy with the staff or whatever, and he gets in really tight, and he gets privy to some information, and the group finally like finishes helping the Duke find his daughter or whatever, and the party leave, but like later the rogue comes back and like lures up the buddy out and like assassinates them, sneaks into the manor using their clothes and steals from the Duke, you know, and walks out with a pretty penny and puts it all in his bag of holding and comes back. No one knows what's up. No one would even find out, and continues on with the party, you know, kind of stuff. It's really dickish. That's definitely not a character I would play.
Same.
But unless the group really, really likes the Duke, I don't see a problem with it necessarily happening in a game.
Because that specific scenario sounds like the story is already over. So, like, that arc is over for, like, the party's sake. There's probably not even a chance they'll go back and see him again.
Yep. And not only that, but like I said, if they like the Duke, it's a different story. But if they don't care, he's just some rich dude, they help the daughter. They might like the daughter a little bit, somewhat, but like they care less about the dad. Then, you know, like I don't see a problem with that. That's something that takes a little tact, a little finesse to pull off and not like ruin everyone's time. Yo, yeah. Rosano, welcome. Listen to your song. It was really, really good.
Yeah, very
your
well
cover
done.
was really good. But you know, and other character types, like the whole premise of evil is you're fucking someone over. You know, yeah. That's the big deal. And you know, a character who I guess is just like what needs to be done to have your character be called justifiably evil, you know. And I think it's just you selfishly hurt people or fuck people over for either only personal interest or just for shits and giggles.
Yeah, and like that's a thing I also don't see myself like playing ever.
And that's, to be fair, a good trait to
yeah,
have.
Totally. I am happy to have this trait. I feel like it's one of the reasons my characters get along really well with a lot of people in the party, because I want them to be like friends and like hang out. But like nah, like that whole thing, I'm like, man, that'd be fun if I saw like if it was one of my friends doing it. Like I just wouldn't.
You know, another one is like the group gets paid a lot of money by like some back alley like dude. And check the title of the stream. Should be there. And like they're helping, like someone's like, hey, we need you to smuggle some gear or whatever, you know. And you go and you smuggle gear into a town and you deliver it and you're like, all right, cool. Glad we could do business, and then you murder them, you know. I don't see players necessarily having a problem with that unless you have some really like hardcore good characters in the group. But it's like, if you do something illegal and your group like willingly does something illegal, that doesn't make them bad people, right? They're not evil. Like no. Committing crimes does not make you a bad person. And oftentimes it can mean you're a good person depending on your setting and your scenario. You know, that's the thing. It's just like, everyone's just like, well, I know this is illegal and I know they're smuggling weapons in, but that's kind of not our problem. And you can just be like, okay, then let's do the job, get paid, and then kill them, and then sell the weapons ourselves. We get double dipping right there.
It's me playing Fallout, dude.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is something, again, I don't necessarily see being an issue as long as everyone's on board.
Yeah, if it's one player who like really wants to do it, then everyone else is like, nah, then that's a problem. If the whole party's on board for that shit, then you know what, it's cool.
I mean, yeah, the most of the party's amiable, you know, like, you know, sure, why not? That I don't see a big deal with that. It gets rough when you have one player, because one player in the group's always typically a very lawful good or just very good character.
True.
I think I lean more towards morally ambiguous.
Same. That's my shit.
I would say in real life, I'm a lawful good individual.
Same.
I think that's very much where I sit personally. But I definitely like playing morally ambiguous characters. I think they're very interesting.
Or at least like I don't know. A lot of the characters are I think the most like evil actions I've done in a game is probably Kalden. Kalden did some bad shit, I'll be completely real. And he was just okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, I could see him being the kind of guy who would, like, really work hard to get buddy-buddy with someone just to kill them easily.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Like, he'd be completely fine with that. He has, but I guess, I don't know, the thing that carries it over is, like, Kalden doesn't believe he's doing anything wrong. Because, like, in the moment where he, like, murdered a guy just to, like, supplant him, he had, like, no problems with doing it. That was a job. That was work. If pointed out and, like, called out, he might have to confront the idea of that. Because I think maybe he's probably just blocking out, like, how horrible what he's doing actually is because of his pure just desire for money. Because he needs money to survive. Man's been, like, destitute his whole life.
Yeah, I don't know. That's also another interesting area. When does moral ambiguity become evil?
Yeah.
Because you're not doing it with evil intent.
No.
You're doing it because it's an efficient way to do the job.
It was the best solution they came up with. And Kalden had the skill sets to do it. That's why I want to play Kalden in like later on in like some game. I want Kalden to have to like develop more because I feel like he's probably doing some bad shit right now in your world. He's probably taking on a few more bad jobs. Like, and I want to see because he's going to be the same like really nice, like amicable guy, really polite to deal with, goes out of his way to be nice to you, but also like, oh, a target's on your back, okay, knife to the throat,
right?
Like, no hesitation,
nothing personal.
Yeah, he was like for audience who haven't seen that playthrough, it's on the channel. A new Slate campaign. Kalden was my attempt at making a non-edgelord rogue. I really wanted to make a rogue assassin character without falling into the brooding, like, my whole family was killed kind of deal. Instead, he's just like, yeah, he had a poor family life, but he's just kind of just a guy, like, with a really, like, morally dubious skill set and a lot of ambition.
I like Jesse's idea here too for the human fighter who is, the fear of mortality pushing you to do vile acts. Like,
yeah,
it's such an understandable and real fear, and I think a question a lot of people would have to ask is like, if your own mortality was on the line, what line would you draw? What line would you not cross?
That's the villain I wrote like a long while back. Like, same principle. He saw his own death by the hands of someone, so he took steps to make sure that wouldn't happen. And fate is a fickle thing.
Yeah, it's an
interesting like story. It's very. I think it's a really interesting when done correctly. Like that's any story, to be honest. It's an interesting theme of like that having something relatable. Where it's like this is a very normal fear for people, and the topic of what would people do to get around that fear and fix the problem? Or do you make peace with it? Or in that case, I think you can also touch on the really interesting ideas of, is making peace even like the right idea? Like, is saying, oh, I'll die one day, like, is that the right mentality to have? Or should you die kicking and screaming and fighting for like another minute?
Right. Yeah. Again, there's so many things that, like, this topic of evil characters, like I said, the title's really not clickbait. I think if anything, the title is just like, it represents how you should view your character's morality, what kind of questions you should ask, where do they draw the lines in the sand We're about an hour in. Freeze yourself. Yeah, I mean, that's a possible answer as well. I'm very curious. I want to see this in the chat. I want to see everyone's alignment slider. For a character you would play in a game, what alignment do you view yourself like starting at? And how far down the track do you go? Like, for instance, I personally, or actually no, what's your personal alignment and how far down the track is a character you would play? That's a more interesting question. Personally, I'm a lawful good individual, and I think my slider ends at lawful evil. I don't think neutral evil or chaotic evil are really my style. Neutral evil is literally, I don't really care about much, but suffering just makes me happy sometimes, so I do it to you know, I do it for my own pleasure. And chaotic evil is like, I really just like suffering, and I'll just do it whenever.
It's a tough question because because the fucking morality chart is such a weird thing in general. I know for a fact I play a lot of characters that are chaotic good or like even a little basic chaotic neutral. It's kind of the pick, but like mainly because I play a lot of characters who are like very independent free spirits, where like a lot of them are like nothing nails me down. I kind of act as I please. Me, myself, and I kind of deal. Or they're just like, they're good, but they don't follow a set code or legal stuff. It's gut feeling what feels good in the moment. There's a lot of the characters I play. I think the only character I've really broken around was like, I mean, actually, even Rogel. I'd call him more like chaotic or like chaotic good, or even like lawful good, but follows his own special code. But granted, that's what it means.
Yeah,
it's a fucking weird one. Okay, like more like the alignment chart's always just strange to me. It's always something I forget is in the game.
and it's also curious because I know some people who don't want to play chaotic neutral characters. They don't want to give themselves a chance to do evil acts. You know, like chaotic neutral is like, I do what I want. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. It's just how I feel in the moment. Lawful neutral, at least, it's like, I only do evil acts if I must, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, then I guess in that case, it's a lot of, like, chaotic good, like, chaotic neutral, like, that kind of character. I as much as I love them in, like, fiction of, like, the evil for evil's sake, I could never play one. Where it's like, I fucking love, like, Frieza, or, like, Dio, or, like, those people who are like,
yeah,
I am evil, why are you evil? Because it's really fun, and I like being the man on top.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, cool. And then they're so enjoyable, but I can never play one.
That's why I think it's an interesting question. Like, Jesse here could literally play anything. Honestly, I would struggle to play a chaotic evil or evil neutral character, honestly. Like, even in an evil campaign, like, I could see maybe playing like a chaotic evil goblin for a goblin romp kind of stuff. But if we're kind of doing chaotic evil acts, like if our job is to go into town and go and slit like a woman's throat or something like that, I would cringe, you know, kind of honestly.
That's about my mentality, King Neo. I do that. I kind of ignore that it exists because in reality, alignment's a spectrum. But like, it is kind of fun to just slap a label on like that funny little box in your character sheet. But other than that, like, it's an interesting litmus test.
Well, I mean, yeah. So like the big thing is, right, I'm not saying you need to adhere to alignment charts.
Oh, yeah,
and
no.
Characters should oftentimes perform acts that are not in their particular box or classification. But it's not an important question. It's not an important aspect of characters, you know. Because if you're asking yourself how someone with this background, set of beliefs, behaves, motivates them, whatever, you know, that doesn't answer the question, could you play someone who enjoys killing children, stomping on puppies, you know?
Yeah, definitely no. And man, like the whole like following alignment shit is like the one thing that is like they kind of missed on for 5e Paladin. They're really like, all right, you got to play to this alignment. It's like, that's stupid. Just like, because the most fun Paladin character types are the ones that break out from and away from what like the core book tells you to play.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one thing I'm super glad of is I like that Pathfinder 1E was a lot stricter when it came to alignments, actually. I think, like, barbarians had to be, like, chaotic. Any chaotic chaotic alignment or something like that. They had some pretty intense requirements. And that is a bit of a turnoff for players. And I totally understand. I think players should... Well, one, I don't think alignment should dictate your character. I think an alignment is a handy tool for you to understand your character's headspace, as it were. If you called your character lawful good, what does that mean? And that's something you can explore. Not, my character is lawful good, so they would never commit a chaotic good action, you know, or a chaotic neutral action. That's a very boring character dynamic or whatever.
Super boring. And I gotta say, very commendable statement there, Jesse Phoenix. A lot of people do not have that like self-awareness to make that like decision.
Yeah, and you know what?
That's true.
That's something as well that I think is very interesting. Honestly, even though we only gotten a few answers, I find them very fascinating regardless, you know. Just the idea that like some people draw the lines in different places for different reasons. And the thing is like an evil character is an evil character. It doesn't matter what your alignment is on the chart. If you go around doing really terrible stuff, you're an evil character. You know, doesn't matter if your box says chaotic neutral, for instance, or chaotic good. Like one of the big memes of tabletop, which isn't even really a thing anymore, is the chaotic neutral murder hobo.
Yeah,
because that's not really a thing in tabletop nowadays.
I think I have a little theory on that. I have a feeling that genuinely one of the things that killed that off was that meme and like internet content, because like a lot of really influential people in the tabletop scene have properly made fun of that archetype to the point where it's harder to find, because people now have a lot of like awareness of that type and are like, oh, I don't want to do that. I have a feeling, like, for example, because the one I always think of is fucking Joe-Cat, where he made fun of that, like ripped it apart, like that idea, and to the point where around after that era of tabletop content, that's when you start seeing it like less and less and less and less. That's at least my little like theory on it.
Yeah, I think a big part of it was the murder hobo thing was a thing from the old days of tabletop. And I think it was just from the emergence of the fact that the game is a game, and some people just didn't take it seriously. And there's a lot of people who tried the game out, and then they found they liked the lack of culpability that comes with playing an avatar in a imaginary setting.
Yeah.
And it's no mystery. The tabletop community has a lot of very socially awkward people.
Yeah.
And I've experienced way too much general play to like not claim that that's pretty general. Mm-hmm. you would be hard pressed to go to a convention and not find one murder hobo-ish kind of individual.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Yeah, true.
But the thing was that it's a thing of the game has become more. You know, it's no longer just an evolved war game. It's now a narrative game. That's something that Gary Gygax wasn't even really interested in doing, actually, right? He made a game where you could tell the stories of how cool your characters were. His idea was making super hard dungeons that forces the players to try to get through them. The idea was to conquer. It was a game. And a lot of versions after that kind of really, like, you can't find, I don't even think in D&D 3.5 all too much are a lot of rules that are just based on role-playing stuff. There are some. I do know some. I know they added some in some of their supplements. But most of them were not designed around that kind of stuff whatsoever. And now tabletop has evolved much more into actual narrative play, where, you know, you're playing a game that is more fun the more narratively invested you become in it, or at least for most people, not everyone, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think what it is the game has just evolved. It's just no longer a game where Murder Hobo is. And Keenel kind of hit the nail on the head. Murder Hobos were a symptom of level advancement system and a reward system of those times. Yeah, it's because those books would go out of their way to give villagers XP, and you know.
Yeah, like
the social battle was really fun.
Super fun. It's the thing of playing something where, oh yeah, anything I kill gives me XP. The incentive now is to kill everything, but like, it's the mentality of like, because I'm also viewing this from what I do. Like when I'm playing like art, like tabletop style video games, I will play an evil character. Like thinking of fucking like Baldur's Gate, Solasta, Wrath of the Righteous. Like I mean, it hurt Solasta playthrough as a joke, where I have the character that's evil. Granted, they've done nothing evil and have said nothing evil. They're honestly a pretty nice guy. But like say Wrath of the Righteous, my character in that game when I was playing it was a like raging demon hunter, where his entire mentality was I will wipe out this menace by any means necessary. And a lot of the decisions I made in that game are like, if it's just for the people, I am very, very kind. I'm a good leader. But if it's like, oh, I can sacrifice this unit to get a higher like kill count for the demons, we're doing that. That was my decision. That fucking like section in Wrath of the Righteous with like the fucking swarm of locusts or whatever.
Yeah.
That was such a good, I love that section. That was so fun. But like, I couldn't play these characters as much on tabletop because I think something was pointed out in the chat too, is like the idea of me doing that in a game, I'm not pulling from anyone else's enjoyment. If I played this character, like my orc from Wrath of the Righteous in a D&D game, like with people, I want to be really careful because like the decisions that my character's making go against a lot of what the party's talking about or wants to do. But I'm like, nope, we're doing this. And that's not fun unless everyone is very overtly like, yes, we're doing this. This is cool. I like this.
Yeah, and like, don't take what I said as like it wasn't also social media that helped push that along as well. But the thing is that the Murder Hobo itself is just kind of a more dying breed because now people are just playing those games differently.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I purely
it's like a
believe,
meta shift.
I purely believe both of those are very likely. I think
they both attribute.
I think so. I completely agree. Yeah, like I don't know. The reason I have never ever wanted to play a Murder Hobo or anything like that is purely because who I am as a person. Of I'm a big believer of the idea of like, at least for my own sake, I have the most fun when everyone around me is having fun. So I always try to do things that elevate people's enjoyment, like everyone else's. I
like to think I don't make many selfish decisions in tabletop. I probably have at a few points, but like I always want everyone around me to be having a good time and having fun. So that's my characters.
Yeah, I mean, like, and I think that's just the difference, right? When you're role playing, it's you. You're talking.
Yeah.
You're in character. You are stepping into the shoes of something, and you know, stepping into blood-filled shoes is not a very comfortable experience.
No.
So, you know, people tend to avoid those kind of routes, and because, like, right, I've played Destroy All Humans. I've murdered a whole town with a cow, just bludgeoning people with a cow telekinetically.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed making like seeing a woman running away and having her head explode so I could collect her brain. Like, that was fun. That's very evil. That was fun though. I couldn't do that in tabletop. I'd like legitimately, like I said, the whole idea of like if you're playing goblins and you're just playing wacky little weird evil dudes, I would struggle sometimes because like I take roleplay seriously, and I would be like, okay, what would I do? And then my mind goes to very terrible places, and I'm like, that doesn't sit well with me, even in a fake narrative.
Fair. Yeah, there's a difference. I think it's one of the reasons that like XP to level 3 is like people who play D&D like Skyrim blew up, because I feel like that's relatable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, other than just, here's 2 popular tags in a sketch. But, like, it's relatable. Everyone knows that person who's played a tabletop game like it's just a video game and they're the main character. It's like, it's very anti-fun for everyone else.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I said, I've been to conventions. I've seen people play. There's a lot of respectable players at those. But then there's that person who just has to pickpocket literally everyone. Even though it's slowing the game down and definitely making the DM angry, they'll
really
keep
weird.
doing it over and over again.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things, right, of like, it's like, why do people cheat at video games? I would never do it. I find that to be against other players, let me add. I'll cheat when I'm doing some free play stuff for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
But
I pay money
against
for
other
this game.
players, I would never do it. It just
Same.
it doesn't sit right with me, right?
It's weird.
But there is countless videos on YouTube showing cheaters. Hell, if you've played online multiplayer games, there's like a 99% chance you've run into someone who is a cheater at some point if you've been doing it long enough.
Yeah, it's like my CSGO, Rainbow Six days, man.
What's
Damn.
that game with all the bean people going through the obstacle course?
Oh, Fall Guys.
Fall Guys. Yeah. Had a lot of cheaters in that. People who could fly, infinite jump or whatever. And it's just like, how is that fun to you?
I don't understand
Literally.
it. You know what? It's not really a tabletop in the slightest. I fucking miss Modern Warfare 2 era shooters. I miss where you join a lobby and it's not people aim hacking. It's people who have hacked into the game, into this server, and decided, all right, there's no gravity, infinite ammo, insane fire rate. Like, they just boost all the stats up, so you're basically just moon jumping around, like, killing people. They just hack the game to make it fun for everyone else in the lobby. And you're like, all right, that was good. And the next game's completely normal. I miss that. Can we go back to that?
Right.
That was fun. Hackers, like game hackers out there, do it for good. Like, make games just a weird twist on a game, and like but don't like, you know, fucking aim hack and like cheat and make it worse. Shows like beautiful fucking moments when I was playing Modern Warfare 2 as a kid, where it's like joining those lobbies, I was so hyped. I was like, oh, I'm in for a good fucking time.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, right? It's like, and that's the thing. That's why this whole conversation is interesting to me, seeing where everyone draws the line, because there's people out there, they draw the line further than the scale goes. They draw the line past the bar, and you're like, what's beyond the bar?
Yeah.
And their eyes glow red, and you're like, oh no. You know, it's like, and I mean, like, you know, that having a kleptomaniac character is not bad as long as it's not disruptive.
And like, yeah, if everyone at the table is having fun with it and cool with it, power to you. I played a character that stole shit. Fucking Morgan. Granted, a lot of things he stole were a lot of times inconsequential. Like the fucking me stealing a pen from a secretary. Or oh my god, best fucking moment, like Blake faced lying to a cult member while they stole from their communal loot bucket.
Yeah,
That shit was
funny.
amazing. Oh my god. I don't think I've told this story on Table Talk, but this is like when we were first getting into Pathfinder. I played a character named Morgan, who was a sorcerer, a devil sorcerer. And his entire thing was he's a con man, gambler, like has like a fake deck of cards, that whole thing. Just basic con man style. And also master liar. He's really good. And we were infiltrating this cultist base, and they had this barrel full of loot. And Morgan saw that and was like, like fucking money eyes. He saw all this shining gold and treasure. And they're pretending to be cultists. So Morgan walks in and just starts striking up conversation with this guy. And then he's like, oh, what are you using the bucket for? And he's like, oh, yeah, no, I have to get some stuff. Like, I have a person close to me in my life who's kind of like, I think they might be catching on that I'm in this cult and I kind of have to deal with it. Like, being like, yeah, I'm grabbing of this poison vial you have because I might have to do something. And the guy's like, yeah, makes sense, man. It's a hard decision. It's like, yeah, it's really rough, you know, been married to her for a while, like that kind of thing. And as he's doing this, he's using a magic item I got earlier called the Coin Purse of Avarice, which is just a tiny little bag of holding as he's like just talking casually, scooping everything in the bucket into a bag of holding. And then just walks out. He's like, all right, I got the poison. I got like one other little thing. All right, thanks, man. Catch you later. Hail whatever god we worship.
Yeah.
And he just walks out. And like,
yeah, honestly, I again, one of my things, and maybe it's a bad quality I have, but I always want to take the terrible player stereotypes and do them right in a game.
Yeah.
So I played my evil wizard in the first place, because you always see all these stories about evil wizards, and I wanted to do it right. And I think I did.
You did.
I want to play a kleptomaniac rogue, and I want to play a kleptomaniac rogue who, whenever they find loot or whatever, you know, it'll be like, oh, you find like 800 gold pieces, 45 silver pieces, and 23 copper, and he'd be like, oh guys, I found 800 gold, slips all this stuff into his pack, and then all the extra like small change into his pack, and he's like, I got all the extra small change. They have no idea, and they're probably just thinking like, oh man, thanks for dealing with all the change. That'd be really annoying to carry around. But he thinks,
sure I've done that.
But he thinks he's getting away with it, you know. He thinks it's like it's getting him that high, you know. I would like to play a character like that. Like, that's the kind of pickpocket character I like. It's just like, I pickpocket my friend. Do they have anything smaller than like a gold piece? Silver pieces? I'll take 3 silver pieces from them, you know. And the modern player will probably just be like, okay.
Yeah.
You know.
It's like rifling through like your friend's pocket, and it's like, I found a dime. You're like, normally a normal person would be like, fucking okay.
Yeah, take the dime, I guess.
It's like it's stealing a dime when their wallet's packed with hundreds, like $100 bills. It's like, okay, man.
That's
because
I know
I've pulled that move. I've pulled that move. I think Morgan did that. I also think that I've been in games where someone has done that, and my response is always like that same thing, like, oh, thank fuck, I don't have to choke around silver and copper pieces.
Yeah.
Doing the Lord's work, man. Like, because that's just annoying. I wish all things were just, you know, gold.
I think that's how I play the kleptomaniac character. It's just someone who just is too anxious to steal gold, so they steal anything with lesser value than gold.
Yeah. God, fucking, you know, Morgan was so much fun to play. That was a great character. At least, like, I miss him.
Go ahead.
I was just saying he was just fun. Like, that was a good first jump into it. Only thing holding it back is that he's a caster, and I do not like pure casters.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. Oh my god, that character concept, something I've been working on.
Yeah, King Neo. I said because I'm like, yes, the friendly gifter rogue. That's one that's been coming up in conversation lately.
Yeah, it's a character concept we came up with that I will play one day. It is a rogue who's a master at like stealth and pickpocketing, but the thing is they're super nice, and every single gift they give is like, it's the most thoughtful shit ever. They'll like do the perfect Christmas gift and like pickpocket into your pocket. And you're like, who gave this to me? And then like you just don't know. Also, I think the joke is that they're also like they sound like a peak edgelord character, but they're like the nicest fucking guy you've ever met. Where they're talking about like, oh yeah, I'm in the corner. I'm just thinking about this next charity auction I'm putting on in my village. We have a lot of disenfranchised peoples that, you know what, they deserve a bit of food. Like that kind of deal. You think like, oh no, other edgelord. It's like, oh no, they're just like comically nice.
I pickpocket the child. They don't have anything. You're wrong. They have 10 gold now.
Yeah, like that shit.
That like it's such a fun idea. I
so
think it's
fun.
really funny.
I don't think I could play that for a campaign, but I'm going to play a one shot where I play that character type. That's a perfect like one shot, two shot character. Like just a fun, goofy concept that's just fun to play out and laugh at. Then like, all right, that's done.
Fun fact. Now that we're a little decently into the stream, the Vampire the Masquerade game is one open slot remaining, and we're playing these next 2 Mondays. So we have session 0 next Monday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and then the one shot / interview the following week at the same time. So if anyone wants that, yes.
Quick little query about this.
Okay.
With this like one remaining slot, is this accounting for like me being auto picked into it, or is that without me?
Oh no, it's not.
Because no, I'm saying this because I've played Masquerade. So if someone out there is really fucking fiending for it, I don't want to take their slot. Because like I've played it, I've been there. I know what it is. I like this thing because I like finding out new games. So yeah, if someone's like really fiending to play this system, it's really fun. Go right ahead. Feel free to join. We got a good group. But no, I'm not gonna steal that slot if someone else wants it.
All right. Well, then at least the slot is at least going to be filled. But if anyone wants it, it is available. So
yeah, I'll join it if like no one else does.
Please let me know in the Discord. But yeah, so just wanted to get that out here while we were at peak viewership. But yeah, we got a lot of honestly a lot of good. Yeah, I mean that skews you the time with a lot of people, and I understand that. I'm just thankful we're at a level where like I don't have to sift through like 100 people asking me to be in a game. That
Just
sounds
you
like a
wait.
nightmare.
Else do you wait?
I know it will happen, unless I get too scared and I stop doing it, which may happen. But I like,
point, yeah.
I like playing new games, and I like trying them out with new people. I think it makes the interview process more fun. But yeah, it's just one of those things where this has been a good chat, honestly. Really enjoyed some of the ideas that come up, because honestly it's something that's been kicking around a lot lately as well. Like I said on Twitter, it's come up a lot in a lot of conversations. It's come up a lot. It's just one of those things where evil characters are always, like I've said in the past, I wouldn't trust most players with an evil character.
No. God, no.
It's mostly because I don't have to ask. They'll do it anyway. But, you know, it's like one of those things where it's a hard archetype. It's a hard style to play. But I think everyone should strive to play at least one well-done evil character, because it means that you've navigated the tricky waters of making a character who's evil but tolerable and is not disruptive. I think that's an accomplishment in tabletop. And I think it's one that really pushes your roleplay ability as well. So definitely, weirdly, Vampire the Masquerade would probably also be a good model for evil characters. Yeah, it's kind of again, it's interesting questions to ask morally, because the vampire need to do it to survive. So, you know, it's like, and yeah, there's, I think they're called farmers in Vampire the Masquerade, who only feed on animals.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been looking into it because I've gotten the book now, and I've I gotten the Roll20 compendium for it. I wish I had the book. It would make it so much easier, but I just can't afford to buy two copies of a book. But yeah, it's just kind of one of those things of like, again, it's a good, interesting moral question. Does that make them evil? You know, they're not even really considered human anymore. It becomes that, like, if you're killed by a tiger because it's hungry, is it an evil tiger? Because we kill and eat animals all of the time. Oftentimes, you know, like, not even being present for its death. So
yeah, it's something I've been like working on too, because I'm playing a vampire character. That conversation will come up eventually, because I play a vampire whose entire thing is he's been starved before, and now like, and also just completely fucking feral, like monster. But he's a vampire of like, if he feeds from you, you are dead. Like, you will just die, because he will gorge himself. But he doesn't view what he does as a bad act. He has a system for it to make sure, because, you know, he understands I'm not going to murder just anyone. He has a code of, I drink from those who can either defend themselves or are like worthy of dying because they're horrible people. Like, that topic might come up where it's like, isn't it bad that you kind of kill people to eat? And he's like, I don't really see it that way, but yeah. It's something I mull over whenever, like, I'm thinking about this character, of like, what are his thoughts on the morality of just his existence, and like, what's his interpretation of like the idea of you kill people to eat? And he's like, yeah.
No, it's not. He's playing for a D&D game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a D&D thing. It's granted, it's very VTM, because the DM has built me a very VTM style like bloodline, but no, it's for customized D&D. If I was in that game, I might just port Nicholas over to VTM.
Would be interesting.
I might just do that because it's easier.
Might not work, because I have a very specific like scenario that you're all gonna go through. So I gotta, unfortunately, because we're just doing like a run through. I guess it's not really gonna be a secret. The one shot we're gonna do is, you're playing a bunch of them, I think is what it's called. It's a style courtier, which is like it's a group of vampires who get together to do something. Mm-hmm. And the Vem are like the police force that enforce the masquerade. And you're all going to be looking into a series of murders that seem abnormal for a vampire. It's like a vampire is being really sloppy and is breaking the masquerade. But something's off about it, and the elders feel like this might be a human, like, who might know about the vampires, who are trying to draw attention to them. So,
yeah,
it's going to be a more investigative kind of social style one shot.
Very fair. Yeah, if I brought Nicholas over to VTM, one, he'd break the masquerade pretty quickly, and two, it would he would just go nuts. Yeah, probably not then. I'll have to come up with something, because like mean characters, I'm really bad at just coming up with a character.
Yeah, if it helps as well, all of your sires are like World War II era vampires who have been elected to be, they were in the same position that your group is going to be in now. They were the Vem of their time,
Yeah.
but they've now elevated to the Watchmen, which they make sure their city, like nothing comes into the city that's too terrible, and they leave dealing with the vampires and humans on the streets to your generation. So
Yeah. Like, not letting fucking werewolves in the city, because good lord.
yeah.
Werewolves in VTM are some of the only werewolves I like. Fucking wild.
So it's going to be very interesting. And yeah, and that's kind of one of the concepts about VTM that I really like, is that it punishes players who kind of go full Vlad the Impaler, style vampires.
Yeah, it's a very necessary decision on the designer's part. It's
Oh
fucking
yeah.
needed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think they've done it very, very well. I think they've very logically justified why vampires aren't better known.
The VTM world is super well done. Like, they did a great job in that making that universe. And that game is designed very well. From like the bit I've played, well done.
Yeah, World of Darkness in general. Like if you're playing a magic character, like magic stuff, people can't even see.
Yeah.
Like their brain can't comprehend it, and so they justify it in weird ways.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah.
I hope Bloodlines 2 is a good game. I hope that the game is actually good. Because VTM Bloodlines is very, very good, and that's where a lot of my knowledge of the World of Darkness comes from in the first place.
I did see this comment earlier, Jesse. Yeah, I do enjoy games that have XP, but they give XP for things that are not necessarily combat related. It makes players feel good, and I think avoiding a combat is just as valid as taking one on. I hate the idea that you have to go through a full combat to get the full XP through it, because, I mean, that's just not how it works, You don't get better just from beating stuff up. It gives you a lot of experience, true. You become very, very savvy when you do so. But navigating situations correctly or learning from terrible mishaps are very valid learning experiences as well. And yeah, it is, unfortunately.
Yeah. The trailers and stuff they put out look cool. I mean, the only other thing is like the worry of, because it's a Paradox game, like to be playable, eventually you will need like a fuck ton of DLC. But that's Paradox's whole thing.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, speaking of which, they literally just dropped another Stellaris DLC.
I know.
But I might get it soon because it looks cool.
I'm always up for a game of Stellaris. Just let me know.
That's true. Hell yeah, actually. I might. I have a new little project. I'm going to see how long it takes me. But, like, I kind of want to go full completionist on some video games that I, like, love. I want to get all the achievements for them. I'm currently grinding through Dishonored.
I've been trying to catch up in Monster Hunter because Monster Hunter Rise, I've been playing Monster Hunter Rise. Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak comes out in June, which is next month, and it's gonna unlock the master tier hunts, and that's gonna be a lot of fun because I like a lot of the monsters in that game are really good. They're also doing some interesting stuff. They're making the combat a little bit more flowy, so
That's cool.
That's going to be really exciting as well. They're adding a little bit of like stance changes and everything like that.
Man, more shit where it's like happy for those who like Monster Hunter.
Well, one of the big things of Monster Hunter is that people don't like the stagnant feeling combat.
I hate it.
Yeah, it's a big thing. And they're adding in a feature now where you can do like a sidestep and swap stance at the same time, so that you can change up what moves you have access to. They're just adding in a lot more flow to the combat, which I'm always up for super dynamic combat.
You'll have to tell me about it when it drops. Because
I mean, it's still going to be 80% Monster Hunter combat. So
yeah, true. But I'll have to try it, I guess.
I mean, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was gonna change subject.
Oh, well, I was just gonna say, I like hunting monsters. I like finding different ways to beat monsters. Honestly, I found a way to fight a couple monsters that I don't see in a lot of hunts with other people. It's just either people don't know or they just think it's a little too. There's this one, the Barioth, or not Barioth, the Baroth, and it's like this big, it's like this big hammerhead style dinosaur looking thing, and one of its features is it rolls in mud and gives itself armor that you have to whittle away, and it will go back and reapply the armor after you it deals so much damage to it. But you can throw a flash bomb, and you'll stun it out of it, and it'll stop it from getting the armor back. I see no one do this, and it's so good. It's so handy, and it's stuff like that I like. It's a lot of the monsters have small interactions that they do that if you're smart and you understand the how they hunt, like if you really know the monster, you fight them better, and I think that's really cool. That's something you don't see in a lot of games. A lot of games, it's just hack and slash. And to be fair, the meta of Monster Hunter is hack and slash because there's just some weapons that do some bonkers damage, and you don't really need to do anything else than that. Yeah. But I like taking the extra steps because I think it's more interesting, and I feel better about myself for doing it. So,
fair enough.
Anyway,
yeah, I will mention like, very true. Fucking Paradox games, God, the DLC is like impressive. Where it's like to have fun with like Stellaris, you need all the DLC, but at the same time, all the DLC is really good. So it's like every time they add new shit, it's always amazing. Like, granted, they had a really annoying bug that they dealt with the Nemesis DLC, but the Nemesis DLC itself, good additions. The Origins shit, great addition. This new like Overlord one, really fucking hype. But it means like to play the game properly, it's like $300. And as much as I'd like a sequel to like Stellaris, on the other hand, like for example, the recent thing with like Crusader King, I never been able to get in Crusader Kings like 2. I like a lot of stuff it does, but it's like playing an Excel sheet.
Yeah, I can't do it.
But like on the other hand, like I can't do some of the shit I liked doing in Crusader Kings 2 and Crusader Kings 3. Though I understand the third game a lot better because it's a lot stronger UI and like tutorial design. But like for example, my only experience playing Crusader Kings 2 though, so don't take my word, is I played a multiplayer game with my friend. I was like Ireland, he was Scotland, and I spent the entire game just trying to fuck his wife and worshiping Satan. That's all I did, and then I insulted him. He dueled me, and I died. Apparently, I played the game well, but honestly, the game was just me courting his wife while at the same time my cultists couldn't do fucking anything. They were the most incompetent people I've ever met. Where it's like, oh, let me just go kidnap this person. Oh, I fell off the ramparts. It's like, oh, your cultist died because he fucking Looney Tunes off of the castle walls.
Yeah, I played, I think, Crusader Kings 2 once, and I didn't like it, but I made my character, I want to play like a kind of crippled, like super wise king or whatever, and we got going, and in like the first 8 years, he got over his sickness, like, as just a random event. So I pretty much got a really good character with no flaws. Damn. Just because of a random event.
Good lord, that's pretty cool.
It was really fun.
I still like the Seth Zintach story. His stories in Crusader King 2 is hysterical. Like he took over the known world because he and the Pope turned gay at the same time. So he just fucked the Pope and asked for land, and the Pope gave it to him. And that's how he conquered Europe.
And he can't play an evil character.
I can in video games.
Character in tabletop RPGs.
And not tabletop. I will say I am a person in video games where a lot of the times I make decisions because I think they're funny. And I do this a lot in serious RPGs where I make a character that's like really fucking stupid. But like I'm immersed. Like I've played through Mass Effect 1, the remastered. I like Mass Effect. Mass Effect's really good. I played it with my character, Master Shepard, whose entire thing is he's Master Chief who got transported to the Mass Effect universe and is trying to get out.
And he's pretty cool. It was fun. He looks like a fucking weirdo, and I every once in a while the cinematics are hysterical, and I lose my shit. But it doesn't stop me from like being immersed. If I have a character creator,
There's a
I
talent.
usually make something awful.
Yeah, I think like Alex is pretty hard stuck chaotic evil whenever he plays like most games. he always plays some weird looking dude, like Tumbling Larry, and then
Tumbling Larry.
Tumbling Larry, and then he's just like, ah man, you're pretty cool. Let me eat your ghost. You know.
my Divinity 2 playthrough of
Yeah.
what was his fucking name? Oh, was it
I don't
Bumpo
remember.
Glumpo or something? No, it's
Something
Rufus
like-
Toofus. It was Rufus Toofus, the evil skeleton man who just got the evil tag because I kept eating every ghost.
I don't know why. I just keep eating all these souls.
And like the entire game, then the end of it was me trying to convince another player, like, no, let me be God though. It'd be so funny. And they were like, I'm not letting you do that. I just want to be a tyrant, please. Yeah, no, that's me in a lot of video games. I am a shitter.
Yeah.
I get bored of playing games legitimately sometimes. It's one of the reasons I never play like
Sometimes.
Minecraft with people.
Every time.
Yeah. I can't play Minecraft with people because I get really bored and I start becoming a shitter. And that's really annoying to deal with, so I purposefully don't play that game. Because that's not fun for people.
It's true. But, you know, yeah, like I said, Alex is pretty hard stuck chaotic evil in like 99% of games he plays.
Yeah, I really like playing 4X games with people. Or, because, like, I don't know, in Stellaris I'm a little different. In Stellaris, I just play the strongest capitalist empire the universe has ever known.
Yeah.
It's
I would
it's
still
real fun.
say that's pretty chaotic evil, honestly. But, you know.
It is, honestly. I'm pretty diabolical when it comes to Stellaris. Like I am totally taking over the Galactic Senate and demolish democracy. I do it very slowly and just demolish like any idea of democracy or freedom in the galaxy. No, you're in debt to me. It just be like that.
I play a pretty wide range. If I'm doing solo stuff, I almost always play like how I would do it in that situation, you know.
Yeah.
But like, if I'm playing with friends, I've played characters of all types. I've never really. I'm very casual when we're just goofing and gaffing around, and yeah, but like tabletop games, it's a very different story in general. Like one is personal, the other one's just for fun.
Yeah,
You know.
exactly. I think the one game I have not been a complete shitter in is probably Disco Elysium. That's because there's something special about that game. And also, it's weird enough. If by playing the game normally, you'll be weird.
I
Love that
I
game.
honestly want to play a douchebag super cop.
Probably. I might do that at some point. Because I'm going to get every achievement in Disco Elysium, and you have to play an asshole for like one playthrough.
Yep. I've kind of been playing Sorry Cop / the Apocalypse Cop.
It's fun to tell everyone the world's ending.
I've run into that. I finally know what the Pale is about.
Oh shit, I still don't. That's really cool.
You haven't
That's
gotten
it.
that? Yeah?
I have not found it yet.
That's crazy.
I done the time skip, is how far I've gotten.
Well, I won't spoil it then.
Appreciate it.
The Pale's something else. It's very it's a moment where you learn about it and it changes everything. Everything you think you know about the game, it gets flipped on its head when you learn about the Pale.
That's
And
really
it's not like hidden world stuff. It's like when you ask someone about, or when you talk to the person who tells you about it, they're like, "Oh, you're really messed up if you don't know what the Pale is. This is common knowledge. Even the crack addicts in the streets know what the Pale is. I don't know how you don't know."
Huh.
That's
really cool.
how serious it is, and it's crazy.
That's dope.
So I recommend it. I recommend just going and hard focusing that alone, because I'll change your view on the game like completely.
You have to tell me where to go. It's like I'll totally do that next time I boot up the game.
You gotta talk to the Wild Pine lady.
Where are they?
The lady on the boat.
Oh, her. Okay, yeah. You have to make the realization of the world. Is that what it is? Like make the conceptualization.
You have to make
check?
like a DC 18 like conceptualization.
Okay, that's what that check is.
It's really hard. Granted, you can do it at any time. You just gotta keep save scumming until you get 2 nat 6s.
I would never save scum. You know me.
I've saved scummed a little bit in that game.
I've saved scum a good amount.
I don't remember what it was exactly. I mostly don't because it adds to the story. But I did do it for something. It wasn't for that check, surprisingly enough.
I save scum for white checks to save time. Red checks, never. I don't do it.
I'd never have an opportunity.
Yeah.
I don't know they're coming usually.
True. I know when some of them are coming. Because I played partially through the game. I never save scum through red checks because, like, that's the story. I'll save scum on white checks because I'm saving time, or, like, I don't want to backtrack all the way over here for this one thing to get put to, for a stat I'm not even putting shit into. Usually how it goes.
Yeah.
But granted, I don't like doing it that much. Because the game doesn't deserve it.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the things I've been sorry about, because I'm like, I really wish I would just... I would save scum, because sometimes I want to just invest in some of those ideas that you get, you know?
Yeah.
And I want to, but I'm always investing in stats to beat some checks. Like, I'm trying to convince a door to open.
Yeah, that's worth it. I like the encounter inside there. It's real fun.
It's so fun playing Inland Empire.
Yeah, it's like the entire Psyche skill line is my favorite.
Well, it's always because whenever you have your special one, you hear from that one way more often.
Yeah, I have empathy. Empathy is my fucking like a real one. Like, ride or die with empathy.
Empathy is really good. I invest in a lot of my mental stats, so my character gets a lot of those dialogues pretty often.
Hell yeah.
Inland Empire is so cool, though.
I have to try it. Point being, chat, play Disco Elysium.
It's a good game.
Like, there's like, no, just play Disco Elysium. It is one of the best like RPGs
narrative
I've ever played.
Games.
It's so fucking fun. It's a lot of reading, which I normally can't stand, but like, there's something special. It's such an interesting game. It has a lot of like cool shit going for it. It won a Game Award for Best Narrative, and honestly, it's one of the few awards where I'm like completely deserved. It deserved every piece of it.
I will say you may need a dictionary when you play the game, depending. Because
dictionary? They just make up words.
They don't just make up those words.
Yeah, they do.
I was playing with Bill. I'm like, I have no idea how the fuck Alex gets through this game.
like what? Is there an example that pops in your head?
Oh, easy. Paedomorphic.
Literally just saying syllables, bro.
It means when you have the body in the shape of a child.
You know what? I don't believe you.
Yeah. Measurehead talks about it when he refers to Kim.
Oh, that's what. Okay, because like, here's the thing. I just don't. There's sometimes words where I just don't know, and I'm like, and whenever they say it, I'm like, okay, I don't know what that is, and I just keep going.
Yeah. See, for me, I have very bad ADD. Like, I cannot read things for extended periods of time. I struggle, but Disco Elysium's language level is super high. Like, they have a lot of very advanced words there, and I know like pretty much all. I don't think there's a word I've come across I didn't know. Maybe one, but they're all so like high tier level that I have to like think about it. You know, the conversations are also really deep and very they're very philosophical. They wax philosophical all the time in the game. Like, it's a game that makes you think a lot. And if I can replay the game and not get bored or sleepy while doing it, anyone can, because it's that good. And the language is pretty advanced. So like I said, you may need a dictionary because there's a lot of words in there that that don't make sense if you haven't done any extensive reading. So
I will say, I do have as much as I like don't put on, I do actually have a pretty decent vocabulary. So there's a lot of times where I'm like, I know what they're saying, but the problem is, as an avid sci-fi fan, I've become too complacent with words that I don't know the meaning of and just glossing past it. Because, you know, it's sci-fi, they just make shit up and you're like, okay, that's actually a word that just isn't real. And so you just pass on. So I'm a little too complacent in the reading department for that, where I'm just like, that probably means something important, and I just keep going.
I would never insult your intelligence, Alex.
Of course not.
Not unjustly.
The problem is when you guys say some word that like literally fucking is really stupid, and you're like expecting everyone to know it.
No one else believes you. What are you talking about? The words are stupid.
I will still posit
doesn't know what Julienne
That's a dumb word that you guys made up, and then all of you are like nodding, like, yeah. No, half of you were just nodding to sound smart.
No, you're just the only one who didn't know what Julienne was.
That's not that's a name. Like, it's not a fucking thing.
It is a thing. It's named after someone, yes, but it's still a thing.
I like just call it a fry cut. Say I cut it like French fries. Yeah, it's a dumb nonsense made up word, and all of you are just trying to sound cool for an audience. So you're just saying big words when you could say a few smaller words and get your point across easier.
No, because Julienne accurately represents the style of cut. Otherwise, let's see, how would I describe it in layman's terms?
Yes, please.
It's when you cut a potato so that it comes out in strands of square-shaped shreds.
See, and how hard was that?
Way more words than Julienne did.
Sometimes you need some extra words.
No, you don't. No, you don't. To be fair, I like, again, in Disco Elysium, it's very smartly written. I do think they kind of go a little over the top with it. It always makes sense, and like, you can't have a bad word, right? But what's my favorite racket of Rogue? And what would be the most interesting for an evil character? Well, I think we already know where I'm going to go with this one.
I think I do.
Let me verify it's in this game, and I'm not just thinking of D&D, though.
Yeah. I will say I really like the... what was the one I played? Damn it. Which one was called in? Scoundrel?
Scoundrel, maybe?
I don't know. There's a rogue racket that I think is dope.
I think it's Scoundrel.
Okay, a brute is. I think it's fun, but it's interesting. But like, fucking Scoundrel's pretty dope.
Mastermind, you are correct. It would be Mastermind.
Yeah. Oh, that is also a 5e thing. Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, I was like, I'm pretty sure it's Mastermind, but let me double check.
I can't believe you like a fucking dump stab, bro.
I'm sorry, Alex. We live in two different worlds.
Yeah, and one of them.
One with Julienne and fries, and one with only JoJo's.
I still think my comment on your favorite class video stands.
I think you're wrong. No. You are wrong.
No,
Hard
I'm right.
Stop. No, you're wrong.
Gunslinger for life.
No, Investigator.
In Shitgator.
Yes, Alex is a smart guy. He is in college. He does know some words, but I think I have a pretty accurate level of his intelligence, and I will never unjustly.
You can be intelligent. I just choose not.
You are very intelligent. especially when it comes to really dumb things.
Oh yeah, I am. I'd like to think I'm an intelligent person. The problem is, it's not fun for me. So, and also
Such
I
a
like
burden, all this knowledge.
I don't like
choose
it.
Not to use it.
No, I choose not to. Or I'm really smart, but with things I'm interested in. If I'm not interested in a thing, I can't learn it, and I don't care. So so a lot of STEM fields, I think are stupid. So I don't because I don't understand it or like it. So I just don't know anything about it.
I'm so smart. I don't understand them. I mean, don't like them. So
No, if I don't like something, I don't understand it. So it's stupid. I think math is stupid because I don't understand it. That's just because I just genuinely can't comprehend numbers. There's something with numbers where I just cannot comprehend the idea of a lot of stuff with it.
It's like me and names. Names literally mean absolutely nothing to me. I'll forget the names of certain characters all the time because I don't have a strong association with names and actual things.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just be like, oh yeah, that person, where brain doesn't go. But if you ask me subclasses in a game, I can be like, yeah, let me just tell you all of them because they all mean something to me.
If it's same concept, if it's interesting. I've been getting better with names. I used to also be really bad at remembering. I'm really good at remembering a name if I've spoken to you once or twice. Then it's all right, I know your name forever. Or if it's from something I like for example, 40K. If you loosely describe a character to me, I can probably catch immediately who you're talking about. And name it. Be like, oh, this guy with this title.
Yeah, I struggle. I'll get Pertrabo and Ferris Manus mixed up all the time.
Yeah, they're both equally important, so. Some fucking Iron Warriors screaming.
Because they both have units. They're the Iron something.
Iron Hands and Iron Warriors, yeah.
Yeah, and I know. I was just saying it's Iron something.
Iron, yeah, it's Iron.
Iron space something. And so I'm just like, oh yeah, that was Petrabo's people. And you're like, no, that's Ferris Manus. I was like,
yeah, no, it's understandable. I mean, the only thing it is the idea of fucking oh yeah, Ferris Manus, and it's oh yeah, he just doesn't matter. Don't think about him.
What's up with the Emperor lighting Nurgle's realm on fire?
Let me give that a cursory look because I remember hearing something about that, but I have not looked into it. I'm not surprised if you've done that.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised either. The Emperor's a dick.
I mean, Nurgle's pretty bad too. Oh, it's Godblight. Okay. Yeah. That's a recent lore thing. I have not read the Dark Imperium books. I should, but because my problem is I read part of the first book and it's really kind of boring. And from what I've heard, the second book goes really hard, which is what this one is. I'm reading up on it real quick.
I could probably read Warhammer 40K books, but only because I would be sitting there trying to figure out why they would use certain Latin names for something, or what they were trying to make.
The important thing is in 40K, it's not Latin, it's High Gothic, and as long as it sounds like the thing it is, it's fine. Just if you actually break down in legitimate Latin what some of the battle cries are, you're like, that is the most broken shit I've ever read.
Yeah. It's not good.
Yeah, so honestly, the end so the ending bit from what I'm realizing, the final thing of Godblight, the book Dark Imperium, so spoilers I guess. Mortarion, Primarch of the Death Guard and champion of Nurgle, fought Rabute Gilliman, Primarch of the Ultramarines, currently the only loyalist Primarch that's alive and just kind of walking around. They fought, had a whole thing of, join me, brother. It's like, no, brother, the Emperor is evil. From my perspective, he isn't. That kind of whole deal. And then the Emperor, when they're fighting it, you see, they were on a Garden of Nurgle, which is a Nurgle planet, or just a Nurgle realm in the warp. And the Emperor, being the Emperor, is like, haha, I'm gonna set it on fire. And basically, it was part of the military campaign, like during the Indominus Crusade, is what it was. It was basically just to like spank Nurgle and be like, get out of here, stop it, stop trying to get into real space. And he's like ran away to like protect his children. Yeah, it's recent lore shit. It's
Man, there's a lot of recent lore that's come out.
Yeah, no, it's been we've finally gotten to the part with where we're in M42, because for a long time we were in a perpetual like state of like, when is it gonna roll over to M42? Because the Fall Acadia was in M41999.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's I need to read those books actually, but on the other hand, I don't want to, but I should, because like I know. I honestly think I could, like, with confidence, retell the entire story of 40K from creation of the universe to modern lore. I just have to get more caught up with like the new lore that's coming out, because I don't know a lot about like the Nakhmud like wars, the Octarius wars. I'm not as well versed in that. I just know the Nids won the Octarius war, and that's actually really bad. Like, that is pretty significant, because it's the first time fucking Nids have won a large engagement.
But with that 40K, oh goodness, exposition there.
Yeah,
we're gonna.
I was gonna end on 40K.
We're gonna end on that. Thank you all so much for being here. I think genuinely had a really good talk this time around. Yeah. Explored some interesting concepts, and I look forward to it. I'm glad y'all are liking the archetype dedication videos. They seem to be doing pretty well. Especially today, I think we got like 6 new subscribers just from this most recent video. It's so stressful because I sit there, I get done with making my top 5 video. It gets like a couple subs or whatever. And then I like all weekend just no subs at all, which is very unusual. And then I make a new video and it's then suddenly like 6 subs out of nowhere. So it's like, YouTube is one of those things you can never know how it's gonna flow, what it's gonna do. And we're getting close. We're getting close to 700, and 1,000 is gonna be right around the corner. And then we're gonna join the big kids table, and I can only imagine it getting just much faster from there. So it's exciting. A lot of stuff has been going on, lots of behind the scenes, a lot of stuff on social media. You can follow my Twitter and you know, catch up on what we're doing over there. A lot of fun stuff is happening there. And I've also been very excited about these diving into different tabletop games. And Vampire the Masquerade is gonna be a really fun one. I already know. Eventually we'll do Blades in the Dark and Warhammer 40K. Eventually.
I can't wait for the 40K one and Blades in the Dark. Those are the 2 I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, honestly, after those 2, I don't know. But then again, I've had some kind of runaway hits. I guess the niche community has really come out for them, so who knows. So be on the lookout. As I said a bit ago, we are going to be doing our session 0 on Monday at 4 p.m. And then we're going to be doing the actual one-shot the following week, Monday, same time. So if you're interested in that, come check us out. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm very much looking forward to it. It's going to be the first game where there's not going to be any combat bits, really. It's going to be mostly just social and investigation. And that's very Vampire, honestly. Like, a lot of their powers are just kind of focused around those kind of things. Yeah, they could do some cool stuff in combat. But honestly, if you go through like a whole Vampire campaign without going into combat, that's not super unusual. Though you do gotta murder like a human at least once or twice.
Yeah, of course.
It's just one of those things. It's like you got these freakish powers. You gotta rip something in half.
Totally. At some
So,
point.
At some point, it's bound to happen. So anyway, I hope you've all enjoyed. It's gonna be a fun week. We got another archetype coming out later this week, and then I'm gonna be talking about how I come up with characters, the process I go through, and where the kind some things I look at, and I might even have like a build kind of put up on the video as well. So if you're interested in seeing how I kind of do things, check the video. I think it's gonna be a really good one. But with that, I guess we're gonna go ahead and say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.